Comrades Marathon introduced us to some iconic names such as Fordyce and Wally. Now, this year, however, on the other hand, the marathon marks 100 years since its inception. But unfortunately, the coronavirus pandemic has forced the cancellation of this year's race. But for more on this, let's speak to the Comrades Marathon Association's chairperson, Ms. Cheryl Wynn, who joins us now all the way from Durban. Ms. Wynn, thank you for your time and good morning to you. Quite an exciting day for the Comrades Marathon family, celebrating 100 years. Let's take it back, because reading your statement, it seems quite important to you to ensure that you do acknowledge those who made this, marathon even possible for it to see 100 years.
Good morning to Merlo and good morning to the viewers, and really thank you so much for inviting us on this auspicious occasion. It really is going to be a great celebration. Sadly, there hasn't been a Comrades Marathon for 2020, and it was particularly disappointing when it had to be cancelled in our centenary year. But we're still going to have the greatest celebrations we can today. We're kicking off early this morning at just after 9 o'clock. There'll be what we call a 1921 tribute run, in which past winners of the race and male and female runners who have run more than 40 or 30 Comrades Marathon will be participating. It's going to start outside the Pietermaritzburg City Hall. Those runners will run at 2 kilometers along to the Comrades Marathon House, and that's where all the celebrations are going to take place.
Absolutely. And going back to my initial question, Cheryl, about the acknowledgement of those who made, this marathon possible, how important is it for you to also have this centenary also be, a memorial of some sort as well?
Well, exactly. The first Comrades Marathon was obviously the dream of Vic Clapham. He was a very humble railway worker and turned soldier. He came back from the First World War, and he wanted to create a living memorial to the spirit and the camaraderie and the loss of life and all the hardships that he had experienced with his fellow comrades in that war. And, he could never have imagined what this race would turn out to be so many years later. There were just 34 runners in that first race, and we had over 28,000 entries for what would have been the 2020 Comrades Marathon. So along the way, there have been so many people who have contributed endlessly to keep this race alive and to build it into what it is today. And we want to acknowledge all of those people for the remarkable volunteer service that they've given to the organization. We also want to recognize our past winners, those that have brought tremendous glory to the race. And, it's just going to be a tremendous gathering, obviously within the constraints of what we're allowed to assemble in terms of COVID restrictions, but it's going to be a wonderful celebration of bringing those people together.
Absolutely.
Everyone who has contributed to what it is today.
Yeah, and some of those who obviously can't make it to the country can catch, the festivities on Livestream, right?
Yes, that's great. Our live stream is going to start from 8:45. That's about the time that those 34 runners who have been chosen to reenact the 2021 Comrades Marathon will be standing outside the Maritzburg City Hall. The one thing that has been constant in our race from right throughout has been the wonderful relationship between the cities of Durban and Maritzburg. It's a tale of two cities. The Maritzburg mayor will fire the gun that will start the race, just as he did, 100 years ago. And, many people have asked us, why have we chosen to celebrate this race on a Monday? Well, that was a decision that was taken 100 years ago when the first Comrades Marathon was staged on the 24th of May.
Yeah. And just before I let you go, Cheryl, the COVID-19 undoubtedly has interrupted so many plans that you had, I'm sure, for 2020, as well as this year, I can imagine. Hence, you're having, this centenary without most people around the world that also made it possible for you to reach this milestone. So what is the future of the Comrades Marathon in this COVID-19 pandemic that, unfortunately, we still have to endure?
Well, we've already started planning our 2022 race. Now that the vaccine rollout has commenced, we're hopeful that, certainly by the end of this year, hopefully running is going to be able to get back on track. Major international marathons such as the Boston and the London are taking part later in the year. Yesterday, we had those fantastic achievements that occurred in a limited event in, I mean, when I say limited in terms of numbers, in Quebec. We had the outstanding achievement of 2 world records. So, you know, gradually, we're beginning to see our sport, which has been particularly hard hit because of its mass participation. It's been particularly hard hit, but at least we're beginning to see it get off the ground, and we're very hopeful that we will be able to stage the 2022 Comrades Marathon and be back on track.
And we wish
you know,
you all
in the
the
entire
best.
history of in the entire history of the race, we've, you know, there were 5 years during the war when there was no Comrades Marathon, and then it was 75 years before it was ever interrupted again, which was last year, and now again.
Well, you know what? We wish you all the best for today, and hopefully everything will go well and everyone will enjoy it, irrespective of the pandemic. Thank you so much. Cheryl Will, the chairperson of the Comrades Marathon Association.